I first started off in banking. I was working for a small community-owned minority bank, and I was in banking for 14 years. It wasn't something I did as a particular career choice. It was a friend of our family who was asking me, what I want to do about a job, and what I was doing as a temp worker was very similar to what I needed at the bank. And so, I ended up being the youngest person in my department, possibly in the history of the department. I was like 18, and, they called me Pumpkin, y'all stop that cussing, Pumpkin is back here. So I pretty much grew up there. And professionally, it made me a lot of who I am. And it was a good environment for all of us that were involved to grow and learn and to polish our professional personas, our professional careers. So I moved out to the western part of the state for a while, and I was bank teller there, customer service, and came back to the same bank when I moved back home to Durham. And I did bookkeeping and C-level customer service operations. Just about every hat imaginable, I probably would. In a small bank, you have to be able to wear a lot of different hats. So I did a lot of stuff there. All kinds of transactional, general ledger balancing, working with everyone pretty much in the bank, in that department. You have to approve everything, work out any kind of error resolution needs to be taken care of. So eventually we got to a point where we were going through layoffs, and that asked us if we could do anything with money as no object, what would we do? And everyone gave, different answers based on their interests and their hobbies. And, a few people said, well, I wouldn't do anything else. I left my job. This is what I've always wanted to do. And those people were laid off, almost down to the letter. Those people were laid off. What they were looking for was people who were resilient, who were agile, who had interests outside of work. And when it was my turn to stand up, I said, I would be a chef. I love cooking. I love interacting with people. I love food. And so when I'm not here, what I do in my spare time is I work on community service projects where they need help cooking. So that was what my real passion was. My true passion was cooking. And I actually started cooking with my father. He walked me home one day from kindergarten, and he was like, well, what do you want to do today, sweetheart, when you go home from school? I said, Daddy, you know what? I want to know how to make an egg. Know how to fry an egg. I want to know how to make an egg. Well, that's kind of a tall order, so we couldn't do that. But he taught me how to fry an egg when I got home. He knew what I meant. And he put cinnamon in his by accident. The two containers were exactly alike. The cinnamon and the black pepper, he put cinnamon in his by accident. And he still ate it. It was like you never waste. We don't waste in this house. He still ate it, and I just laughed. He knew I was going to laugh. But I've always loved cooking, and cooking is truly my passion. So as I was going through the various rounds of layoffs, I ended up surviving 2 rounds of layoffs. And my solace was in volunteering with the local farmers market and, working with community building projects and community kitchen projects. And so I just slowly came to realize that I was really happiest. I was most in my zone when I was involved with people and food and cooking. And that's really probably what I should be doing because that's what made me happy. It took me a long time to come to that realization. A long time and quite a bit of illness and stress. It got to the point where I was practically insomniac and I gained 40 pounds. I was in a lot of pain and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. So I went to all the doctors and I couldn't find anything. And so eventually I went to talk to, the work-life balance therapist that, they pay for. I was like, here we are and this and this and this is what I'm dealing with and blah, blah, blah. And this is how I feel. And she was like, honey, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just stressed. just stress. Do what it is that you love doing, and if it requires leaving, then leave those people there and move on with your life. So, I had to think about that. I mean, someone can literally tell you exactly what it is that you need to be doing, and that still doesn't mean that you can just drop everything, in your life and do it. So I went home and I started walking in the afternoons after work. And, I had a chance to clear my head and it made me feel better and I ended up getting healthier. And I had to change my diet. I had to go completely gluten-free. I didn't recognize that I was having problems with that. That was because of a bad health situation that I went through with a doctor prescribing me my medication at one point. There were so many things I went through during that period, but the end result was I was able to arrange my circumstances, get all my doctor's appointments taken care of, and leave. And I knew that it would probably be a while before I had really decent health insurance again, and I had to get my tuition and stuff together, but I took every step by step. And when I walked out the door, I did not look back. So I went to culinary school. I went and got a culinary hospitality management degree and culinary degree, a certificate in entrepreneurship, a certificate in baking. And I spent 10 years cooking all over the area and stuff, different parts of the country. I've worked in every major type of food service that there is, from short order to food trucks to AAA 5-diamond award-winning restaurant and banquet facilities. And I've owned my own business for the last 7 years now. So you can definitely say that cooking is my passion, but beyond that, you can say that leadership is my passion. Just because someone is in a position of management does not mean that they're a leader. A leader is a mentor and a guide, and a trainer, and a corrector, and there's a lot of hats to that too. But leadership is really my passion. Teaching is still my passion. I think pretty much through everything that I've done, I've endeavored to teach people. Even when I was in banking. Throughout my life, I've endeavored to leave people better off for knowing me. And that's something that I hope to continue. So the work that I do now, I have my own dedicated gluten-free bakery. And I also do private chef work. And I have a list of folks that I can contract with and, have them on call if we need them. People think that chefs are immediately competing with one another, and that's not the case. We are a community, a very small community. Don't ever think that you can do something over here and the left hand won't know what you're doing because it's a small community. But we need one another. We interact a lot with one another. We give referrals to one another because anyone who has a realistic sense of self understands that we all have different specialties. And so, whereas I might specialize in dedicated gluten-free, someone else really might need a more traditional type of service. Well, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to contaminate my equipment. I keep my stuff very separate. So if I see that someone wants something that I can't really offer them, that's outside of my purview, well, I'm going to give them a referral to one of my chef friends, or if they want a food truck service. Well, not every restaurant has a food truck. I'm going to refer them to one of my food truck chef friends. So, I think as a food service professional, one of the biggest things we have to understand is that we are part of a community. And you benefit so much more from having a collaborative mindset. There's a lot of competition, and when we go through culinary school, oh my gosh, it was extremely competitive. But that's because you're dealing with people who are still nascent a little bit in their career. It's a brand new leaf for a lot of folks. Some people are just coming back to learn a specific skill. But for the most part, those are folks that are professionally still immature. It's only once you really get into the big leagues that you understand just how connected you are and how inter-reliant you are. And I think as a real professional, that's when you know that you've gotten to a certain level, when you understand how everything connects and how much we need one another. So I endeavor to collaborate with a lot of different types of folks, a lot of folks across genres, and that makes life more interesting. And that's really what we need. So I hope we can work together at some point.